Grace and peace, friends and family. I hope that you are all doing well and taking care of yourselves. Welcome to another discussion. This is Joy, Pink Girl Teaches, and I hope that you are all taking great care of yourselves. I hope you recognize that you are a gift to mankind, and therefore you need to act like you know and treat yourself like a gift, even on especially the days that you don't feel like it. I want to talk to you today about not being able to save a narcissist. It's difficult when we're in this relationship with this person, these people, whether they are friends, families, intimate connections, somebody you see potential in, somebody you can tell yourself that if only they would stop doing these things, if only they would change their ways, there's so much potential in them. I can see them do these great things, and they talk about the great things that they want to do with their lives, but they can never commit to it, because to achieve those great things, they first have to change themselves. And that's something that they really don't want to do. But from the outside looking in, it's sometimes very hard for us to pull our feelings and our emotions away, as well as just our desire for them to be somebody else. And this is especially so when this is your child and you're just watching them continue to be reckless with how they treat other people and ultimately how they treat themselves. Because let's make no mistakes, they can be evil. They are evil to people. But they do the worst harm to themselves because they continue to make that choice to be who they are. And that is a lifetime sentence. When it comes to change, it really is a personal decision. A person has to arrive to a point where they say, you know what? Enough is enough. I've had enough of my ways. I can't take my life the way that it is anymore. I want more for myself, and I'm going to commit to doing more, being more, and showing up every day in that decision that I made. It is a decision that they need to make themselves. Nobody, not a single person, can make this decision for them. And it's interesting because not even God can make this decision for them. They have to arrive at it themselves. We all have free will, and they use their free will to continue to stay the way that they are. You know, in order for them to change their lives, it would mean that they would have to relinquish the thoughts that they have, the behaviors that they've had, the way they've structured their life. All of that would need to be torn down because they've built on a very poor foundation. They've they've built, should I say, on a very demonic, a very toxic foundation, and that foundation needs to be ruined. It's going to require a total revolution of who they are. And when we consider what a revolution is, it's the dismantling of a government or a social order or social structure. It's dismantling that completely, but not just dismantling the government, but the laws that the government, the laws that government runs. All of those orders, all of those mandates, all of those legislators, they need to come down so that we can have a proper revolution. So consider it, they've got to now submit to somebody other than themselves. They've got to change, completely transform, bringing down old ways, the narcissistic toolbox, where all the things that they had, all their strategies, the gaslighting, smear campaign, all of those have to be tossed away. But that's all they know. Those have been their strategies, and that's what they've used to build their lives. And we look at their lives, and honestly, from the outside looking in, they're building nothing but shambles. But you can't tell that to them. You can't tell them that because, number one, they lie to themselves, and they're living in a fantasy world. They are not going to hear you at all. It would require a solid commitment from them that, I'm going to commit to psychotherapy. I'm going to commit to going to therapy. I'm going to commit to going to counseling, and I'm not going to gaslight my counselor, my therapist, my psychotherapist. I'm going to show up with an open mind, an open heart, ready to heal, learn, and change my ways. And I'm committed to that from here on out, because it's not about going to therapy for 2 or 3 months, 2 or 3 years, 5. It's a ongoing process. This is things that they have grown up doing, lifetimes worth of behaviors. They don't just go away overnight. And this is something that they're never willing to commit to. You'll find them interested in trying to trick you to stay in a marriage, trying to trick you to not end the relationship, trying to trick you in court, trying to trick you whatever way they can so that they can get what they need at that moment. But here's the thing, and I believe this is one of the big reasons why they choose not to change, is because they don't have an identity of who they are. And when you don't know who you are, how do you show up in the world? And that would leave them completely vulnerable, naked, and ashamed. It's good to be able to be naked and unashamed. But in this instance, they are naked and completely ashamed because they are aware. And they now have to deal with their emotions of insecurity, low self-worth, and that's the lens that they're going to view themselves. And sometimes we may experience such emotions, but we are able to self-regulate. We're able to work through those. We will go to therapy, coaching, whatever it is that we need. But one thing I want to just highlight to you is that when you do experience these emotions, it's important to know that, yes, these are feelings, and you are allowed to feel what you are feeling. It is never an indictment on your character. It is an emotion, and you're allowed to express it. You are human. But it's also important that you remember that you are not defined by these feelings. They're merely feelings, an indicator of something else that is going on the inside of you, an indicator that we need to pay attention to ourselves. Period. It is not what defines you. But you see, because narcissists do not self-regulate, they'll do things like project their feelings onto other people, just, tossing all of their negative emotions on others so that they can feel better. But here's the thing about that. It provides temporary pleasure and it feels good to them, but it does not last. And this is one reason I believe they have to have multiple sources of supply, because they just can't keep dumping and dumping on the same person over and over again, even though it may look like it. But narcissists, when they project, when they're in attack mode, on defensive, especially when they're in a rage because they experienced an injury, they project to multiple people, because the level and the depth of that emptiness, that hollowness, the abyss that dwells on in the inside of them, as well as the spirits that torment them, have to be spread around. And this is what also makes the enemy effective, because if they can't do it to just one person, they're doing it to multiple people. They're projecting that energy, they're projecting those spirits onto multiple people at any given time. But again, it's only temporary relief. When you make a deal with the enemy, hey, for one, you've been deceived. The enemy can do nothing for nobody, because he is nothing and he is nobody and he owns nothing. He can't promise anyone the world. It's not his to give. He can't promise anyone joy, because that's an emotion that he cannot comprehend. He cannot promise anybody a lifetime of light when he's the king of darkness. There's nothing that he can offer anybody. But when it comes to narcissists, it's that pathological jealousy and envy that they have. That is one reason why they choose never ever to change, because they want what they cannot have. Again, going back to the enemy, he wanted to rule in heaven, and that's what got him kicked out. He wanted what he could not have. He was jealous and envious of God. And that's kind of like how they just They always cheat. And whether it's physical cheating or emotional cheating, they cheat. They cheat systems. They cheat in their relationships. They cheat, period. They are always scheming and trying to finesse their way through life. But that doesn't get them very far, even though it may look like it. These things are an illusion. They may have an illusion of winning. They're winning nothing, y'all. And that is the truth. They continue to do this because ultimately they're able to reap immediate benefits. We can never forget or neglect the fact that we do live in a narcissistic society. We also live in a society, a microwave society, should I say, that wants instant results. They want instant gratification. And through these behaviors, narcissists are rewarded immediately. So they have nothing at all that makes them say, hey, maybe I should change. Maybe it's time for me to give up on these ways and behave myself differently. They don't experience that. And, they just are fine with the temporary pleasure that they get. And so they don't change. It kind of reminded me, when I was thinking about this conversation, a little bit about, remember when in Genesis, in the 6th chapter, when Noah was given the instructions to build the ark, and he kept sounding the alarm. How many times do we tell them, like, hey, you need to change your ways. Hey, you can't continue like this. But in their mind, as long as they're not going to jail, and for some, even if they are, it doesn't matter. If they can scheme their way out of, having to deal with legal repercussions, they're good. But even when they have to face these legal repercussions, they still think they can beat the system. But going back to Noah, he was sounding the alarm and they mocked him. How many times did the narcissist mock you for telling them that this isn't the way to go? You need to change. There is another way, and they're laughing at you like, hey, all I had to do was lie to him and I got my rent paid and I got this and I got that and I got that. Or all I had to do is, tell her I love her, give her some attention, and she did all these things for me. How many times do we hear stories like that? Instant gratification, scheming, finessing, breaking hearts. Noah did everything that he could to bring attention to the people that disaster is coming. We have been sounding the alarm to the people that we have loved, the people that we love, that you cannot continue like this. But just like Noah could not convince them to move on, to, get on board with this ark and be saved, they couldn't turn from their wicked ways. And the narcissist is no different. We cannot save them. It's something that they have to do for themselves. And ultimately, they need to cry out to God for mercy and repent to Him and ask for His help. And personally, I haven't seen it happen. I've heard some people say it, but I have not witnessed it. And even for those that say that it happened, I have to question that, because how long have they been on the straight and narrow? How long have they not been like that? And are you with them 24/7 to say that they have completely changed? Because they're angels of lights, they're chameleons, they are different people to different people, and they compartmentalize. So just because to you they appear different, it does not mean to everybody else in their life that they actually are different. So I just want to thank you so much for your time. I look forward to hearing what you have to say about all of this. But until the next conversation, take care of yourselves, family, and God bless you.